Hey there, let me ask you a question. Have you ever felt like your business is just buzzing with activity, you're super busy, but you're not entirely sure where the real money is coming from? Well, today we're going to talk about a fantastic tool called job costing. It's designed to do one thing, show you the true profit on every single thing you do. So let's follow the money and see where it takes us.
And this, right here, is the core of it all. It's a classic problem, isn't it? Being busy feels good, but it doesn't always pay the bills. You could be spinning your wheels on projects that are just barely breaking even, or maybe even losing you money, while some other job is secretly your big winner. Job costing is how we cut through that noise and find the actual profit.
So, how do we do it? Well, we're going to put on our detective hats. We're going to go on a little journey and track every single cost that gets attached to one specific job, watching as it moves through the entire production process. We'll see exactly how every rand adds up to that final number. Okay, before we start tracking the money, we need a map. In accounting, our main landmarks are called control accounts. Just think of them as the key checkpoints, or maybe stations, where costs get collected before they move on to the next phase. There are really only 3 you need to know for this. First stop, the material control account. Honestly, the easiest way to think of this is just your supply closet. It's that simple. Anytime you buy raw materials, whether it's wood, fabric, microchips, whatever, their cost gets logged in here. And when you take them out to use on a job, their cost comes out. It's just a running tally of your inventory. All right, next up is the big one, kind of the central hub of our journey, the work in process account, or as you'll often hear it, WIP. This is your workshop floor. This is where the magic happens. As soon as you start using materials and your team starts working on a project, all of those costs get gathered right here, under that specific job's name. And our final stop is the finished goods account. And you guessed it, this is basically the warehouse. Once a job is completely done on the workshop floor, its total cost gets transferred here. It's all packaged up and it just sits in this account waiting to be shipped out to a happy customer. Okay, so we've got our map, we know the key locations, now let's see this thing in action. We're going to follow one specific job, we'll call it the South Coast Project, from the very beginning to the very end, just to see how this all plays out in the real world. So meet our hero for today, the South Coast Project. Now, this job already has a few costs that were carried over from last month, but now we're about to add some more. We're going to track 3 main things getting added: materials, labor, and of course, factory overhead. First things first, you need supplies. So, the team requisitioned 720 Rand worth of raw materials from our supply closet to get to work on the South Coast Project. And boom, that 720 Rand immediately gets added to our project's running tab in the work in process account. You see what just happened there? In accounting terms, the value of those materials just moved from the storeroom right onto the workshop floor. All right, materials are one thing, but you need people to actually build the thing, right? So next up is labor. For this period, the team spent 60 hours directly working on this project, which comes out to a cost of 900 Rand. And just like we did with the materials, that 900 Rand for labor gets tacked onto the project's bill in the WIP account. You can see the total cost is starting to build up now as we pour more value into this job. Okay, but what about the costs that aren't tied to just one job? You know, the factory rent, the electricity, keeping the machines running. These are our manufacturing overheads. We have to apply a fair share of those costs to this job, and in this case, it adds another 900 Rand.
And there's the final piece of the puzzle for the workshop floor. We add that 900 Rand for overheads, so we take the starting balance, add the new materials, the labor, and the overheads. And there we have it. The grand total cost to make the South Coast Project comes to 4,080 Rand.
All right, awesome. The project is built, it's finished, but our journey isn't quite over yet. Now we need to officially move the project and, more importantly, its total cost from the workshop over to the warehouse. So here's what that looks like on the books. That total cost we just calculated, the 4,080 Rand, is moved out of the WIP account and it's placed right into the finished goods account. We've now officially moved our completed product to the warehouse and its total cost is sitting there with it, ready for the sale. And this is what it's all about. This is the whole reason we went through all this tracking. The project is finished, it's been sold. Now we finally get to answer that big important question. Did we actually make any money? Here it is, the moment of truth. The South Coast Project sold for 18,000 Rand. Now, because we did our job costing, we know exactly what our cost of goods sold was, 4,080 Rand. We subtract that, and look at that. The gross profit on this one job is 13,920 Rand.
That's not a guess. That is clear, actionable information.
So, we tracked one project, we found its profit. Great. But you might be thinking, why go through all that trouble? Well, let's zoom out a bit and look at the huge strategic advantage this gives a business.
You know, the power of doing this is immense. It lets you pinpoint exactly which jobs are your winners and which ones are your losers. And that means you can make real strategic moves. Maybe you fix what's making some jobs unprofitable, or maybe you just stop taking them on. It gives you real data to create accurate quotes, it helps you get a handle on your costs, and at the end of the day, it just helps you make way smarter business decisions.
And really, it all just boils down to this. When you put a system like this in place, you fundamentally get a deeper, better understanding of the financial engine of your own business. You're swapping guesswork for certainty. And that's the real takeaway here. Getting this data isn't the end of the story. It's the beginning. It gives you the power to ask the next set of questions. How can we get more jobs like the South Coast Project? Why are these other jobs so much less profitable, and can we fix it? This information gives you the power to decide. So the real question is, what are you going to do with it?